Welcome to the first video that we will be going over on our nutrient unit. So we're going to really introduce nutrients in this video and then build on that in subsequent videos. So by the end of this you should know what a nutrient are, as well as how we can divide the nutrients up into the different categories. We'll look at what essential nutrients are, what we mean by macro and micronutrients, look at what nutrients will actually give you energy, and we'll look at functional foods, phytochemicals, and zoochemicals, and actually define those terms. So nutrients are going to be the components of food that are necessary for the body to be functioning on a day-to-day basis. They have several different functions in a body and can be divided up into several different categories that can provide these different functions. The main functions that they do are that they will provide energy. They can also serve as building materials, so they can act as the building blocks for your tissues and your cells and other things that your body needs on a day-to-day basis. They can be there as a way of maintaining or repairing different parts of the body, different parts of the cell, and of course you need nutrients in order to support growth throughout your lifetime. So we divide nutrients up into 6 different categories, and we can divide these categories into other different categories as well. So if we break this up, we can break this up into the micronutrients, which are the vitamins and minerals, as well as the macronutrients. Now, the vitamin and minerals will have similar functions that we'll talk about later, but these are essentially going to be present in your body to help other things function. So the minerals are going to be a lot of the metal ions that you see on the periodic table: iron, calcium, zinc, etc. The vitamins are going to be relatively small molecules that are going to come together. Now, vita means vital, means, or vite, it comes from vital. Amines comes from the idea that they were thought to once be amines. We know that there are many different types of vitamins now that aren't necessarily amines, so you can't just think that they're going to be amines. But they'll have a lot of different functions in the body that we'll talk about in the future video. So the micronutrients you only need in relatively small amounts. What do I mean by small amounts? I mean that you need milligram or smaller amounts on a day-to-day basis. Macronutrients, on the other hand, you will need in larger amounts. We're talking grams or kilograms on a day-to-day basis. Water, by far, is the most necessary of all the nutrients. Necessary meaning that you need the most of it on a day-to-day basis compared to everything else. All of these are actually necessary to function. So it's the most important that you keep it replenished in large categories, and that's why you need to drink so much water or consume water in foods on a day-to-day basis. The other macronutrients, protein, carbohydrates, and fats, are unique in that they provide energy. They also can act as building blocks and have other functions within the body that we'll talk about in a subsequent video. Now, what do I mean by providing energy? Well, we define energy in terms of calorie. So calorie is defined as the energy required to increase 1 gram of water by 1 degree Celsius. But you can also use this as sort of a food energy measure, since energy can be transformed in many different ways. Now, when we talk about food calories, you'll notice that there's a capital C when we do this. This is because a food calorie is actually a kilocalorie. So 1 capital calorie equals 1,000 calories, which is 1 calorie. And in subsequent videos, if I use the term calorie, or in the rest of this video, I'm referring to the capital C calorie because that's how food works. We'll repeat this in subsequent videos, but you should know that proteins contain 4 calories per gram. Carbohydrates also provide 4 calories per gram. Fats, on the other hand, are the more caloric dense of the macronutrients, providing 9 calories per gram. So these are going to be the major energy source as far as bulk energy that we get from the cells. Protein does serve as an energy source, but predominantly carbohydrates and fats are going to be what we look at when we're looking at how our bodies use energy. And we'll talk about this again in a later video. Now, within the different classes of nutrients, there are what are known as essential nutrients. Now, for the vitamins and the minerals, all of these are essential, or for the nutrients, all of these are essential nutrients, and that your body cannot make them from other components in food. Vitamins, for the most part, they are essential. There are some that kind of don't fit this category precisely. Vitamin A, for example, if you take in beta-carotene, you can actually transform that into vitamin A. And then vitamin D, it would be another example where you can actually synthesize this given the right amount of sunlight. So these would be non-essential nutrients in that your body can actually manufacture them. Non-essential doesn't mean that they are not needed. It just means that your body can make them on their own. For both carbohydrates, proteins, and fats, there are certain types of these within each category that our bodies cannot make, and therefore we should consider them essential. And we'll talk about those in the individual videos that we look at the individual nutrients for. Finally, I want to introduce the idea of functional foods. So functional foods are foods that really have a positive effect, or thought to have a positive effect, beyond just the nutrients that they contain. So this means that they contain phytochemicals or zoochemicals that provide additional benefits beyond just providing calories, acting as building blocks for other things in the cell, or helping the cell function on its own. An example of this would be lycopene, which is found in foods that contain such as watermelon or tomatoes, and it's thought to be protective against certain types of cancer, most notably prostate cancer. Now, a lot of the areas where phytochemicals are being studied are very recent, so we don't know everything that we need to know about them, but they aren't necessarily needed for day-to-day activities, but they are thought to give you some sort of beneficial effect. Now, we can break down where things come from in this category. So phytochemicals are coming from plants, while zoochemicals are going to be the animal compounds that you'd think to be beneficial from them. So that's it for this video. I look forward to talking to you in the next video.